This podcast is brought to you by Media 8.
Welcome to the Two Cripples, One Pair of Legs podcast, where every fortnight, your hosts, Adam Shepherd and Tash take a long, hard look at the world through the eyes of two people who believe in grabbing life by the balls and squeezing tighter than Borat in a mankini. The good, the bad, the often cringeworthy, but most importantly, the hilarity that can, and often does, ensue. If you're looking for fluffy sunshine and rainbows, My Little Pony meets Care Bears type of purity, you've probably come to the wrong place. If you're after good conversation, warped humour, quick wit, a touch of sarcasm, two proud people with disabilities with the no holes barred, leave no stump unturned outlook on life, welcome home. Hello.
Hi, how you going?
Bloody spectacular.
It's been a good few weeks.
It has been a really good few weeks.
Notice how I didn't actually start by going, "Hey, what have you been up to?"
How you doing? Oh, Jesus.
I'd be really worried if I was going up to you and doing that.
Yeah, I know, right? I know. Me too.
Do you know what? I'm currently sitting on a cushion that's burst. So my cushion is made, the back segment of it is made of air, and I've blown it up, but it's got a slow puncture. And I'm sure if we put
you
on,
are shorter than normal.
If you put it on time lapse, you'll see my height go down as the show goes. Yes. Oh, somebody's calling me. Awesome.
Excellent.
Good job if you are calling me right now.
Who was it? Oh, it was Shell. Hello,
Hi,
Shell.
we're currently live. You should be watching.
She'll call you back. I promise.
I will.
I'll make sure of it. So we've had a pretty cool week.
We've had a pretty cool few weeks.
We've had a very cool couple of weeks, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we did. You did. I mean, we both did it.
We both did.
Sunshine Coast Half Marathon.
Yes.
But you did your first half marathon in your day chair.
In my day chair.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
No, seriously, because you were bricking it a little bit.
Oh yeah. Look, I was supremely confident that I'd make it through. What kind of condition I'd be in at the other end, I wasn't sure. Like I knew I could do it. Like I reckon on a big day, you and I probably push close to that when we're
easy
pushing around and doing what we do.
Yeah.
But and I do 10Ks, and somebody, I won't mention, was like, "Hey, you should try a half marathon." I'm like,
yeah, because I actually had faith in you that you'd be able to do it.
It was fun. Would. It was, and I actually came out of it all right. I mean,
you were really good. I was very, very suitably impressed.
Yeah, I was a little bit muscle tightness the next day.
Yeah, but
it was. I mean, I pushed 21.5 Ks.
Don't you find that when you do a heavy gym session, you feel tighter?
100%.
And stiffer than
I had less DOMs after pushing 20.5 Ks than most of my gym sessions.
Yeah, exactly. So it really isn't. It's not that big a deal to jump from the 10K to the 20. I think the 20 to the 40 is very, very different, and to go into that kind of untrained and stuff is just crazy. But if you're used to doing 10Ks, that hop between the two, I don't think is that extreme. Yeah. But so like I'll go out and do a 20K race without really training for it, which I probably shouldn't tell people, but anyway, I do. But yeah, that kind of jump between a half marathon and a full marathon is quite different.
Yeah, I am doing a full marathon in my day chair.
Oh, well, we have a friend that does that, don't we? You crazy son of a bitch.
Yeah, he's a madman.
Yeah.
Madman, he can have that all to himself.
That's how you bugger your body, but yes, that's a different thing altogether.
Yeah. Hey, should we get into this?
Yes, I have. I've had enough of telling you that I'm proud of you, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun, and our friends at Atlas put on an amazing event.
Yes.
And you kicked ass. You did the half marathon.
Thank you. Well, and the same day I made an announcement, didn't I?
You did. You absolutely.
So I an announcement that hasn't actually gone quite to plan, but we'll get to that in just a second. But I made the announcement that I am actually retiring from full marathons. I'd still plan on doing halves and 10Ks and stuff as a bit of fun, but competitively from full marathons, purely because it's making me unwell. I can't continue doing the level of training it takes to do full marathons at a super competitive level, and keeping my health on track and running the business and everything else we're doing. It's just too much, and my health isn't good at the best of times.
Can I borrow your bottle?
Yes.
I need to.
You probably want to open it.
Oh,
the funniest thing about that is I was
friggin' open.
I was watching you do that and just had to wait for you to. You okay?
Yeah. One of these days I'll remember to actually come in here with a water bottle.
Yeah, good job. Anyway, so I made the announcement that I was going to retire from full marathons, that I just couldn't do it anymore. And 2 days later, I got an invite from Sydney Marathon to go and do Sydney Marathon in a couple of weeks.
Timing was impeccable.
Yes. And it was an offer that I couldn't turn down.
Yep.
Apart from always wanting to do Sydney.
Yep.
But it just, I couldn't say no to the huge amount of prize money that's on offer, and also the fact that it's fully funded package. So for me,
and the fact is that if you come away with some prize money, it means funding for other races, and
that's my motivator,
which is
for this.
expensive as hell. So.
Yeah, we've got 2 overseas trips in November, December, Japan and Thailand that need funding. I don't receive any government funding, any sponsorship. If anybody's interested in sponsoring me or us, we would please. It would be extremely helpful. We run the business as not as a not-for-profit, but as a social enterprise. So I don't earn anything from what we do there. So it would be that, and that's it. The prize money. I've not done a race before where there's been substantial prize money on offer. It's usually $50, $100, a couple of hundred if you're lucky, but very, very rarely do you actually get anything at all. So I'm only a couple of months out of having done my last full marathon. I thought, do you know what? Fuck it. It's too good an offer. And
100%.
and I still have Oita Japan in November.
We've got a couple of overseas trips.
Oita Japan in November, and I'm doing London in April. So. It's not the end of the world, but track is going to be my focus from now on. So my retirement from marathon will still stand, but that was going to be my last Australian event. So Sydney will be my last Australian full.
Cool. Yeah, cool. All right,
anyway,
sounds good.
Cool. Anywho,
excellent. It's a good. If from as a coach, I think I absolutely understand why you made that call, and I think it's a wise call. I mean, I'd never as your coach. It's not up to me to tell you what you should and should be doing. I mean, I do to a degree as your coach, but I definitely think it's a wise call.
Yeah. I know it's right for me, and I'm excited for track because we both know from my training that I have a good chance of doing some big things with this. Let's see what happens.
All right, cool. Let's shall we?
Actually, I think this will move quite nicely into our social media takedown segment. Do it. Social media takedown. Now, this segment this week kind of really interestingly flows on nicely from me talking about my crappy health.
Yes.
And actually, it was on my retirement post that a person that I know said to me, oh, you should try watching this TikTok video. This woman knows how to cure diabetes. Now,
sorry, did I laugh?
Diabetes cannot be cured. And even type 2 can't be cured. It can be managed with diet. It can almost seem like it's disappeared because if you get your sugars and everything under control. Pre-diabetes can be cured, but diabetes itself and type 1, your pancreas has just stopped working. You are not producing any insulin whatsoever. So if you're a type 2, you can control your diet enough so that the insulin that you're still producing, because you produce a little bit is enough to cover the food you're eating. But as a type 1, if you don't have insulin, you die. It's as simple as that. There's no way of getting around that. No insulin death unless you have a pancreatic transplant. And maybe 0.0001% of diabetics get that. So
if you're a type 2 diabetic and your pancreas craps out completely, so you produce, does that then make you a type 1 diabetic?
No,
makes you an insulin dependent.
It makes you insulin dependent.
Yeah, an insulin dependent type 2.
Yeah, or at least that's always I don't know if that's changed in recent years, but that's always the way I was taught.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
but anyway, like, yes, I'm using this as an example, but how often online do you get people say to you, oh, you know, such and such did this and they cured that and it's, you know, an incurable illness, or they're offering really unwarranted medical advice that has nothing to do with the thing you're talking about. Or, or you know, my friend cured their cancer by eating nothing but eggs. Mushrooms. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? There's always this stuff that it's not feasible, it's not real. It's, you know, shit they may have seen online, or something that's helped for one person who is the complete exception to the rule, and it's you know, probably, you know, just some kind of, you know, idiosyncrasy that's happened for them, as opposed to actual something that medically works. Who then sits online and, you know, they keyboard warrior type people telling you that you should do this, and maybe if you just thought more positively, or do you know what I mean? It's like, it's just severe lack of understanding of the realities.
You know, social media as a big, really, I mean, obviously this is social media takedown, but since the advent of social media, really has had a really big part to play in things like this, because people couldn't, you know, express that kind of opinion so freely before social media. You know, the amount of times that, you know, I've had somebody message me and go, oh, you must have done something bad in a previous life.
Oh, I know.
You know, you would have had the same thing. I'm like, get a life.
Really?
Like,
why? Well, actually, if I did something bad in a previous life and I've got this life now, I should continue to do bad things because my life's fucking awesome.
Bloody good.
It's that they're saying that because they're assuming you've got a shit life because you've got a disability.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking ableist prick. Sorry.
Jesus. All right then. But
Sorry.
that comment, that was an interesting comment from that lady. So.
Oh shit, I've got to calibrate.
You do.
Can you continue talking for a moment?
Yeah, I suppose I can do that. Yeah. It's it's interesting, and I think, you know, people only ever say, like the comment that was made to you, it's only ever meant as a...
Oh no, it's usually only meant, or it's somebody as, you know, as someone who's trying to be kind and helpful, but I think sometimes that advice is just incredibly unwarranted. Or it's also people making assumptions about things. And sometimes it's just people trying to play and scam you.
Yeah, 100%. You know, whereas, you know, somebody approaching me or you online and saying, oh, you're like that because of something you didn't.
That's just
vindictive.
They deserve a kick in the head. Sorry, but
it's just plain vindictiveness.
Well, I don't know. I think it's people that are religious zealots that quite often, which
100%.
Once again, I'm personally not religious. However, I do believe that people should have religious freedom. However, please don't push that bullshit on me, because that to me is not about religion. That's about somebody making assumptions about you as an individual because you have a health condition or a disability, and that's just I'm sorry, but I don't see anything that is morally correct about that in any way, shape or form. But anyway, that's just me. Fuck off, your Subway sandwich.
Exactly.
But your Subway sandwich.
No, but I just meant them.
Well, just the fuck off bit.
Yeah, just the fuck off bit. Maybe.
We haven't used that button in ages.
I know. I was looking for an opportunity. Hey, let's move on really quick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Okay, I've done my calibration. Yeah. I'm free to live.
All right. Let's do kindness virus.
Oh, do it.
Okay, cool.
The kindness virus.
So, I always feel so relaxed.
You sound like that bloody thing on the radio in the morning.
My mate, Flan. Yeah, Sean Flanagan.
Yeah.
And he does
I can't think of it.
Serenity Safe Harbour.
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah.
Serenity Safe Harbour. Yes, anyway.
So staying on the track of marathons and racing and all that sort of stuff.
And awesomeness.
And total awesomeness. We thought we'd dedicate this kindness virus to the amazing... So we're very fortunate. We're part of a group called the
Atlas Collective.
Atlas Collective.
We are ambassadors for Atlas events. We've spoken about these guys before.
Yeah.
They run the quite a few of the marathons we do. Cairns, Sunshine Coast, Hobart, and they also do some triathlon and swimming events. So they do a lot of really amazing events, and we are ambassadors for them, and always proud to because as an organisation they're incredible. But we've spoken about those guys before. But anyway, the group of ambassadors is called the Atlas Collective.
Yep.
And I have got to say, do you not feel with those guys like you have known them your entire life?
100%. You could not find a nicer bunch of people, and like we're not all bloody elite athletes.
No, these are just guys that are going out, just enjoying running for whatever their reasons are. So, some journeys.
Some of them take it seriously.
But some of them, their journeys started off as weight loss journeys, and they're just, some are, in their 40s and 50s and trying to show that people can just continue following their health and fitness journeys to whatever age, and just going out there and inspiring people by being themselves. There's people that do it for mental health issues.
Run for causes. And
Ben and
our mate Ben runs for Movember, and the Shark Approach.
He's about to do that bike ride, Brisbane to
Cairns to Brisbane and back.
Yes, which is freaking amazing.
You know what? I'm actually going to put, if you'd like to check it out, I'll post his Facebook page for his event.
Absolutely.
On this, because I'd love to get some support behind him, because he's a top guy. And
Ben Anderson.
And
his Instagram is Ride for Movember.
Ride for Movember.
Yeah. So you should check that out, guys, because he's doing incredible things. You'll notice him because he's got the big pink mo,
and pink hair.
He looks like he should come out of some kind of 1900s Western or something. It's very, very cool.
Needs like the red the cigar suit, or what do you call those things?
Yes, I know.
Suit.
I love his whole look. It's fantastic.
He's awesome.
But he's awesome, and they are just awesome guys, and they have been so good to us as just a group of incredible humans, friendly people that have gone out of their way to kind of welcome us to events, because most of them were ambassadors the year before we started doing this, so they already all knew each other. But we just feel like part of the family.
100%.
I'd like to talk about Mel.
Yeah.
So Melissa brought her gorgeous 6-year-old daughter along to Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. Yeah. What a cutie that kid is.
Brooklyn she attached herself to us, didn't she? She was just the most gorgeous little kid. She had so many questions, but I tell you what, so Mel messaged me last week, I think it was, and said, so what do you and Adam actually do for a living? And I was like, we're motivational speakers. Obviously we have the podcast.
Talk a lot of shit on a podcast.
Yeah, exactly. We just talk shit. That's what we do. But anyway, and she's come back and said, so Brooklyn wants to do a show and tell at school about meeting you. And I'm like, oh my freaking God, is that not just the best? And this is why we love talking to kids, and why you and I go out of our way to include little kids and answer their questions and all their curiosities, because at the end of the day, when you reach them at that age and they realize that people with disabilities are just like anybody else, and we're super cool, and there's really cool things about us.
Super cool.
There's super cool things about us.
I am. I don't know about you, but
try to be about us in our chair and all that kind of stuff. They take that through their whole lives, and there's never any judgment or assumption and stuff. If it's like with Fletch, he doesn't know any different.
No, he doesn't.
And so disability is just part of his life, and he doesn't understand when people see us as different, because we're just in his life. So if we can reach children from that age, there won't be a world where there's so much unconscious bias and so many false assumptions and issues. Inclusion will just be. And hopefully one day we'll be out of a job because we won't need to worry about that shit anymore.
Hopefully.
Hopefully we can still keep talking shit to each other.
We'll be doing this podcast when we're into our 90s.
I reckon.
Yeah.
It will be going round. talking.
We'll
like
probably be
this.
worse then than we are now.
Yeah, oh God, I know.
Yeah.
I'm kind of looking forward to that.
Yeah, me too.
I'm mouthy enough as it is. Can you imagine what I'll be like when I'm 90?
Are you really going to talk to me when you're in your 90s still?
Potentially.
Yeah, no,
I'll probably be fucked off with you by then.
Yeah, probably. I know I will be with you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Cool. Yeah, but Atlas Collective,
Yes.
if you guys are watching, we love you guys. You're the best.
We do. Like they help us with things.
Yeah.
They've hooked us up with, a hotel accommodation when we haven't been able to
Yeah.
get any, or they've even just little things like helping bring my racing chair over to the race precinct and help making sure that my day chair gets to the finish line, and just little things like that actually make a really, really huge difference. But being real friends and treating us like friends and knowing that we're part of the family and just being accepting of us and who we are, and that always means a lot.
It's all races are always fun to go to anyway, but it makes them, when you know that you're going to catch up with those guys there, and we're going to have the laughs that we have, and the camaraderie, and
Absolutely.
and the shit giving that gets given as well.
Well, yes,
there's a bit of that.
There's always a lot of shit giving, but that's the fun part.
It is, yeah. But no, they're awesome, and they're our
our kindness virus, because each and every single one of them is they're all just incredibly kind-hearted.
Yep, they are.
And it's unusual to come across a group of ambassadors where everyone is just like, every single one of them is an awesome human.
And we all get together, and it's just like it's like
a group of really long-term
absolutely
friends.
And it was like that from the beginning.
It
really was.
It was, which is just a lovely feeling. We always really enjoy that.
We got to get out of here.
We do. Cool. So anyway,
thanks Graziella Thake for coming to hang out with us.
Yeah, so we are going to play the next part of her show now. So interview, the interview from last week, which we've split into two. So hope you stick around for that, because we think you'll enjoy it. There was a lot of insights and a lot of awesome stuff said. So stick around for part 2 now, and enjoy.
Culture and sport is also something that we talk about a lot, and there are a lot of teams that have culture managers and that sort of thing within the team, and I think, in my humble opinion, I think depending on the team, it's a little bit hit and miss. What do we need to do to be better at that?
Oh, do you want me to go into my topic that I talked about the summit? Because I talk about cult versus culture, and it's one of the keynotes that people get me to do quite often. So I'm going to do it for the Boxing Federation. I'm doing it again for a coaches conference in Johannesburg, and again next year for the International Swim Schools Association conference. I'm delivering a cult versus culture, and how we can grow coaches who can evolve really really positive cultures really quickly, because when you have a positive culture in sport, that actually leaves way for the sport, and it comes from safety, it comes from security, it comes from humour, it comes from the willingness, and safety gives way to the willingness to take risks, and also to push yourself and to engage. When you feel safe with a group of people, you'll engage in more, you'll be more entrepreneurial, you'll take bigger risks.
True.
So positive culture is a place where safety is paramount, and where we can explore risks, but where we have respect for one another. A cult is a place where you feel that if you don't do something exactly, then it's fearful. It's not like a growth place where, hey, look, can I coach you and this is a coaching opportunity to be able to grow these things. Here's some suggestions that I'd like to make. Or, that maybe if you involve this in what you did, then that might actually work a little bit faster for you. So there are lots of ways to work with that. But we've also got pushback at the moment, because we've got a real lack of discipline that's creeping through some of Gen Z. And I know that schools are battling because that authority isn't there anymore. So we've got a few things happening. So when we talk about positive culture, it's a two-way street. You've got to be open to listening and learning, but you've also got to be willing to create safety. And I think safety comes, it's also from the athlete and the coach, and it's from the student and the teacher. So I think we've got to come at this and think, okay, so what's become unsafe about our entire culture that we have out there?
Yeah.
And maybe it's because we've got way too many access points coming at us and we don't know what to read or what to trust.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. I think there's overload with it. So no, that makes total sense to me.
And there's a lot of gaslighting too.
Oh,
there's a lot of popularist thinking, who's got more money, who's got more popularity. We've got social influencers telling us where we should be going. We also need to just be thinking for ourselves and just feeling a little bit more. And that's what we do at OHub. We rewire your central nervous system. So we teach you how to reconnect conscious thinking back to central nervous system, back to how you read your emotions, and then a new set of responses. And then that puts it all back in your power.
Yeah.
A lot of people are walking outside of themselves at the moment. They're not actually in their own power. And isn't it nice to think that you could be back in your own power?
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. I think nowadays so many people are, I guess, motivated to be doing whatever it is that they are doing with their lives, even if it's just sitting on the couch all day, by some kind of extrinsic motivation, because there's a pressure being put on them from the outside, rather than focusing on that intrinsic stuff, the stuff that they feel in their hearts to keep them moving forward, to find their passion, their purpose, their point with whatever they want to do with their lives. And there's not enough often not enough focus on those intrinsic needs, as opposed to the extrinsic needs and focus that society in general puts on everybody. Everybody experiences those, external motivators, and I think that can often be a crying shame if you're so motivated to live out a life or something that's making you really unhappy purely because you feel that outside pressure. And you see it a lot.
Absolutely.
Well, I think there's huge battles going on in our community. I think the saddest stories I've seen is when we kind of get a young group of athletes together and they say to us, can you teach us about how to work with the haters, the people that don't like us because we're succeeding? And quite often it's not just the people, it's the parents, and it can start even with one or two on a team who go back and say something to their parents, and suddenly this story that these athletes don't even know is being spread about them, being spread about them, and they don't know what they're battling, and then they come back and they kind of go, I'm battling something I can't see, can't feel, can't touch, but I know it's there. And it affects them. So I think those silent battles, they need to somehow be stopped, in positive coaching and athlete-centered coaching that brings us back to, it takes 16, 30, 32 of us to be that formula. So we need each other, and we also need our competitors, and we also need to be able to work together, and we need to work between sports. Then I think we're coming somewhere close to a positive sports culture.
Excellent. So prior to, we mentioned before about your background in forensic science. So that was prior to starting the Optimisation Hub.
Oh, that was way back when. Do you want to delve back into my childhood? So let's talk about when. No, that was my first career, was in forensic psychology, not so much science.
Sorry, forensic psychology. Yeah. So how does that skill set that you had then, how does that help you in what you guys do now in the Optimisation Hub?
Oh gosh. So I love my history now. I remember thinking when I was going through it, I didn't know where I was heading. I told you that at 14, I decided that I wanted to go and really, make a positive impact for young people in the world. I knew that's where I wanted to head to. But I tried to work in, women's refuge and places like that, and I was told that I couldn't work there because of how I looked. So I cut my hair off and I dyed it black, and I put holes in my shirt and went back and got the job volunteering. It's really amazing. It was a great journey. And I remember giving a seminar years later in forensics to a population of police working. So as a forensic psychologist, you work going back and forward to the jails, to maximum security, and to other places. And I remember the person that had sort of said, they're not going to respond well to you because of how you look, and I changed my look to get the job, was actually in the audience, came up to me, oh, that was an amazing speech, I loved it, blah, blah, blah. And I looked at her and I smiled. And I said to her, I said, do you remember me? And she said, no. And I said, look, when I was young, when I was about 14, 15, I came to you and you did me a favour. You challenged me to see how much I wanted something, because I basically went and cut my hair off and came back and you gave me the job. And I went on, and I wasn't actually going to go into forensics. I wanted to go into corporate psychology and change management.
Yeah.
And I ended up talking to a wonderful lady from KPMG's back then, at 18 years old, saying, look, I'm going to university, 17 years old, I want to go to university, this is what I want to do. She said, look, when you come out, where you should head to is forensics, because once you've gone into forensics, and she said, I got in there with a bachelor's, you'll probably have to have a master's, and you'll need to be at university for a fairly long stretch. But if you really want to make some change and you want to get into corporations and do change management, then learn about the greatest challenge. So I kind of took the challenge on. I went down to Otago University, went into learning about sport. Unbeknownst to me, that was kind of where I was going to also end up. You never know where you're going to head to, guys. No, like, seriously, like I said this to Tash once before, all I can do is encourage people to keep saying yes. I mean, we collided with each other working with mentoring young people, and I keep saying to them, just say yes to opportunities. You don't know where they're going to head to. I mean, almighty, my first job was working at Jabberwocky Bod Shop, earning, $3 an hour, packing rubber bands and magazines. Then I went on to working in Just Jeans, serving on the front of the store in Sherrard. And then one day working in Sherrard, someone offered me a job to go and model, saying that I looked a certain way. And then I ran June Daly Watkins modelling agency. Who knew working at Jabberwocky, putting, these packets of rubber bands out to people was going to be ending up there? I mean, honestly. And then I quit modelling because I wanted to take up a career in forensics, and they gave me the school to run. I mean, who knows? You don't know. And who knows?
I think most people who are successful have had a very, very varied journey with a lot of challenges along the way, and lots of different experiences. And I think it's those experiences that lead to, where you actually should be in life. Without those experiences, without those different things in life, you can't actually get to where you're supposed to be, because it builds you, it builds personality, it builds character, it builds strength, and all those other things that you may not have if you had not have been through those things and not had those experiences. So
the proverbial glass ceiling is always the thing that you go pelting, and you don't actually realize that you're doing it at the time. So at that particular moment, I didn't realize I was breaking glass ceilings. I was just doing something I was passionate about.
You're just being you.
And so, the awards, like when I got that lovely award to, International Woman of the Year, and and you kind of get these accolades and someone gives you a title. I often say, look, I really love the fact I've got this, because it's a great acknowledgement that I hope encourages a lot of other people, but I didn't set out to get it. What I set out to do was do something that I really wanted to do, because I believed in it so much. And I'm really proud of the fact that it's broken some glass ceilings, and I'm proud of the fact that when I left forensics, I had young women walk up to me and say, we just want to say thank you. And I said, what for? And they said, because you came in here looking like you do, and you went and worked in a maximum security jail. They now let us in to do what we're doing. I didn't even know I'd done that. Like, I didn't sincerely know. I just knew that when I gutsed it and I walked through the first set of grills, and I had 4 guys walking behind me saying, we want to see their response to you. A rub went up my back, and I said, you what? I'm as good as you are. I know how to do this. I'm great at this, and I love the fact that I'm here, and I'm here to make a difference. And when people challenge me about how could you work with inmates, and I said, well, I want to prevent reoffending. I want to ensure that every person who's been misread and who has done some really horrible things doesn't come out and continue to do those horrible things, and that their circumstances are changed, so they come out and they live a healthy life with their families. Because every time I walk to that particular area where all these amazing women and mothers sit waiting for these guys to come back, maybe their families also deserve that challenge and change too.
Yeah, 100%.
And then when you look at what happens with sport, and you look at marrying up circumstances also with veterans and people coming out of uniform populations, I think it's that we've neglected so much with this issue of judgment or social judgment, the ease that we can give to people's lives if we provide a safe place to learn the skills we need to learn so that we can transition well.
So true.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Yeah.
true.
We often talk about that ourselves in what we do. So yeah, no, absolutely resonates. Start losing my voice here.
I thought you were going to
Right.
cry. I thought it made you cry finally.
like
You made me cry trying to take some stuff off me. I was like, did I make you cry?
The orange car.
Hey,
Oh,
you shouldn't,
mate.
you shouldn't be surprised if he does cry. He does cry a lot, don't you?
I know. He's given me a hug before because he almost made me cry. Because it takes things off me all the time.
It's an orange car. You know,
It's just like, but you're
was
taking, you
cool.
always have to go pushing my buttons going, you wouldn't, and I look at you and I go, yeah, go and bring it on.
yeah. What did I say? You wouldn't take a car for a guy in a wheelchair, would you?
I said, yeah, I would.
Yeah, you would.
It's
yeah,
my
yeah.
car. You're
Yeah.
not having it.
And that is exactly why we're friends. So your parents were both diplomats?
Yeah, so my mum went on to be consul for Malta in her later years when she transitioned, and you know she continued to do that with education. But my dad actually worked with IATA, and then he went on to work with. He spoke 13 languages.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and he had this
incredible.
thing called a language laboratory, and a fascination with Mother Teresa. So you know, and the beautiful thing about his love of languages, his passion for Mother Teresa, is that he met my mother, and he met my mother in Mumbai, India, and they were both working, you know, with Mother Teresa and doing really cool things. And that was the place of my birth, Breach Candy, India, you know, like in Mumbai. And so, yeah, they both came from a diplomatic background. They both worked, you know, with a passion for people and their communities. And I think for me, what I've loved most about my upbringing was, you know, my father would say, you can work with princes and kings, but you welcome everyone to your table the same way. So that's given me that I want to evolve, you know, a health technology system and an education system that's affordable and accessible. And I want to make sure that any country we go into can acquire those skills through mechanisms and means. So if there's challenges around digital access, how do we overcome that? So I think what it gave me was you're the president of Nigeria. You're the Prime Minister of New Zealand. It's really lovely to meet you. Can I introduce you to?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like, to me, people are people.
Yeah.
I have some real superstars on my team who I just adore. You know, Tam Taylor and Charles Reichelman and Pat Washington and Ian Shotton, who will cringe when I call him a superstar, because he says, I haven't really gotten to represent my country yet. And I go, yeah, but you're a superstar coach at what you do. You know, Daniel Med and Amelia Cook, who's an amazing superstar who's represented both PNG and Australia. How did we, as the Optimisation Hub, work with DFAT to transition in the PNG hunters and bring them through 30 days of quarantine successfully? That's a big job to bring a group of guys in, working with, you know, other teams, but we were tasked with their mental agility and ensuring that they got through 30 days of isolation.
Wow.
That's no mean feat for guys that have come from villages.
They were staying at
they were at the
Gold Coast Performance Centre.
They were.
Yeah,
So we got them to the Gold Coast Performance Centre after 14 days in PNG and 14 days in Brisbane in isolation.
Yeah, that must have been tough for them, hey.
Wow.
And
It was huge.
I also think as athletes, that, like the thought of me being stuck in isolation for that long, not being able to train properly and all that would drive me.
Well, that's where the visual recognition system, the fact that we were an online learning system, the fact that we've got audio, video, we've got guys working with you in a fun environment, and we utilize that. That's what got them through.
Yeah, I see. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
that's what you want, you know.
100%.
And really, honestly, if I can say this much, I think all of us are locked up in our minds at a certain point of time.
Yeah.
And getting free of that is what we're tasked with, so that you are agile, you're out there, you're using that fun mindset, you're in charge of everything, and you're well thought out, so that you've got the skill base that's on autopilot that you need to be able to be the best athlete you can be in any circumstance.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, very much needed.
We talk a lot about, in once again, in what we do, we talk a lot about making sure you're surrounding yourself with the right people, because obviously that's really, really key. How do you do that yourself, and with what you do within the Optimisation Hub?
Well, I think, it's a really good question, and it was really interesting. The other day I had a conversation with a veteran who said to me, one of our guys, like we've got a couple of guys who are vets who work with us, and he said, I bet you that nobody turns around ever and says to you, hey, that must have been tough coming out of working with forensics. What were the after effects? Because they'll expect that you chose that career, so you signed up for it, so you just deal with the fact that you've seen guys set themselves on fire, you've pulled kids out of drains, you've cut men down who've hung themselves. I think the same question needs to be asked of any CEO who's made it through COVID. I think it was really tough for all of us in this environment, and I think everybody is going through catapults trying to make it through this recessive environment as well. So great question, and I'll give you a very straightforward answer. Some days are amazing, and some days I'm doing the very thing that we teach to make sure that I get back into getting on the saddle, because it's challenging to see what we see. It's difficult to witness a lack of responsibility in some of the entities we work with to be able to prevent the problem, not be the ambulance for the problem. So, and I'm a mum of two amazing athletes who go through their own challenges. I am a mum and a dad as well. I'm a leader of an organisation that houses 40 amazing human beings who all have their own challenges in different environments and lives. When the buck stops, it does stop with me some days. And, I'm a pretty happy person. I'm very positive about everything I get to do. But the challenge for me is always, how do I do more of what we do to see less of what we have to see that's so difficult in this world?
Absolutely. All right, so the last three questions, and these are questions that we ask all our guests, so they're sort of a bit of a quick fire, round things off. Excuse me. What does inclusion mean to you?
Inclusion means that we don't have to talk about it.
Yes.
Inclusion means that when I walk into a room, nobody points to the fact that I've got a nice pair of pins. They simply say, it's great to have you here. Your skill base is really warranted and we need it. Inclusion means that my all-female tech team and our female athletes are embraced to work with females in sport, and they don't get overlooked for a guy that can come in who's charging 20 grand because he's super famous. Inclusion for me means that every person that I get to see out there, that you get to see out there, is actually looked at for their skills.
Yes, not for how they look or how. 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. We often say to people, in a weird kind of way, the aim of what we do is for us eventually not to have to do what we do.
Exactly. You got to do yourself out of a career, right? Inclusion and diversity means that we go to the next level, where we become capacity builders of other skill sets.
Yes.
Because we don't have to push inclusion. We don't have to talk about what diversity looks like. We're just experiencing it. So
it just is.
I tend to do this, Adam. I tend to just ignore the people that aren't inclusive and who aren't embracing diversity.
Yeah.
And I just include them.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I take it for granted that they get it, and I bring them along for the journey.
Yeah. Best way to do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What would you do if fear wasn't a factor?
For me, fear is a question.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know that fear is a factor. It's always been a question for me.
Mm-hmm.
Fear is an unanswered question. And unfortunately, fear becomes fear, and we become abrasive, and we react.
Yeah.
And we turn it into fear when we haven't answered the question. So I try to always say, so what's the question? And let's answer it, and let's work our way through it, because it doesn't have to be fear.
Yeah.
You know, it says she that still doesn't especially like heights. So I challenge myself and I go to places where there are heights, or I embrace those things because I'm willing to put myself in places, you know, and say, so what's the worst thing that could happen?
Yeah.
I'm here. And I trust everyone around me.
Yeah.
We were in Auckland, when we were in Auckland last year.
Yes, October last year.
And the tower in Auckland,
the Sky Tower.
Sky Tower. And people forgot to mention to me that when you get in the lift of Sky Tower, you can literally see straight off the end and in the lift, like it's just a giant window. And yeah, for somebody who's not a fan of heights, as you say, I was quietly breaking it.
all the glass that you've got to walk over at the top. So there's that in Dubai as well.
Yeah,
the glass.
I got myself off my wheelchair and went and sat cross-legged and just looked down at the ground, and he's looking at me going, what the fuck are you doing?
And Adam just went, I'm in my day chair. That means I don't go there.
Yeah, exactly.
That you can take your nightcap over there. I'm not going to join you.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I've got a new wheelchair, and I sit much taller in this chair than I did my old. I mean, that even gives me the heebie-jeebies half the time. I'm like, too tall now.
But it's interesting, isn't it? It's kind of like the stuff, and you have to just say to yourself, so fear's not the question. The question is something I've got to answer.
Yeah.
So why am I afraid? And how can I be safe around the people that are here?
Yep.
And what's the number one thing I'd like to feel when I walked out of here?
I was one of those people that used to have recurring dreams of falling. That was me. So maybe
you and I need to go skydiving.
Yes.
I am.
Shall
trying.
we? Can we do that?
Trying
Absolutely.
I'm not. You know, I'm concerned about it,
Yeah,
but
me
I
too.
will give it a go.
Have you done iFly before?
No.
Oh, you need to come along and do that.
Come with us, do iFly.
Yeah, like
Okay.
indoor skydiving
Yeah.
is so much fun. Like seriously, it is.
All right.
Even he enjoys
We could do a
it.
podcast in there.
Yes.
Yeah, we
Could you imagine if
yeah.
we filmed that?
I know, right? That'd be cool.
Yeah,
Let's do it. Right.
You're on. All right,
We're on.
I'm gonna make that happen.
I'm going to be the messy one in the room. I can tell you all.
Oh, you'll be
It's
right.
going to be okay. All right, you can have the orange car.
It was
That's why you're getting me to do it.
Pretty much. I have my ways.
Good job.
Do you have a bucket list, and if so, what's at the top of it?
I do have a bucket list. The first thing on my bucket list has been really elusive. Like, I've always wanted to see peace and happiness for all in the world. It
No,
really
not at
is
all.
the top of my bucket list. The second one on that bucket list, and a very close second, is happiness for my kids, the ability to access their dreams in their life.
I love that.
And then, you know, the third there is I'd love to live in Greece and be able to do what I do from there and travel around and see my amazing team doing incredible things in different places around the world and delivering what we do. That's the third thing on my bucket list.
Yeah.
And I think fourth on that bucket list is the freedom to keep on having adventures and to
Yeah.
see that freedom of life is consistent and to keep on having those adventures with wonderful people. And, you know, take those happiness risks as often as I can, you know, and keep people doing that. And the fifth is I'd really love to go back into, I did 60 Minutes a couple of times, and I'd love to go back into radio and television. I really enjoyed it. I think that's the next iteration of me.
Yeah.
So I love media. and I think responsible media is fun.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I love doing this stuff with you guys, and
It's
and
good,
I
isn't it?
and I think that that's there, and I definitely think there's probably a lot of people, places, and things I'd love to do, but those are the top 5.
Awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Me too.
So if people want to learn more about the O Hub and what you guys do and potentially want to get involved in what you do, how they touch base?
So they can touch base by jumping on to your podcast, and I'll provide you with a few URLs that they could jump
There's
into.
one up on the live now. For those of you guys that are watching the Facebook Live, there is a link to the Optimisation website, Optimisation Hub website right now.
You're so
Absolutely,
organised.
but I'd love you to hit me up at at Graziella at Graziella Thake at the optimisationhub.com or graziella.thake at the optimisationhub.com, or hit us up on LinkedIn, Twitter, follow our Twitter, or hit us up also on our Instagram, and we'll provide you with a nice little scanned barcode that you can grab a hold of at the end of this, and I'll drop it with these guys here, and you can jump onto any of our sites. If you've listened to today, then you need to say you've listened to today, and the first 30 people in can be part of one of our courses for free.
That's wonderful.
Which is fantastic. It's a Breathe course that we'll give away, and you can all attend the same class and can share some of the great stories of this particular podcast, which would be great. And we're doing that because we're testing a new platform. So I'd love you to come in and tell us what you think.
Yeah, so make sure you jump on, guys, and take Graziella up on this offer, because it's bloody fantastic.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Awesome. Graziella Thake, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Thank you. We've loved having you on, and I think we'll have to get you back on again to talk about things a little bit more.
Yeah, I think we could.
Can we do iFly and do that?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. Let's do it.
I'm going to get a
adventure.
portable kit so
it.
we can just sit. We can just sit in the
I
foyer.
you know what? Why don't we just get an airplane? Why don't we travel around the world and do this?
Okay, I'm okay.
And go
with
and
that.
introduce
I'm
lots
Sold.
of. Okay,
okay with
let's make that happen. Sorry, guys. Can you work this out so we can just go places? Because I think it would be fun, to be honest, to do a show on accessible environments and actually go and chat about that and make the world more accessible and more diverse and more inclusive. And we could tackle some really cool stuff together.
Sounds like
that
a plan
sounds
to
like
me.
fun.
All right, let's do it.
I mean,
all right, we're in for a show. Who's going to fund it?
Yeah.
All right.
work on that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming in today at such short notice. We've enjoyed having you on, and we will talk again soon.
Love it. Okay.
Excellent.
Bye.
How awesome was that?
That was fantastic.
It was so cool.
Yeah,
Graziella.
So yes, now that is the final part of Graziella's 2-part interview, and we really enjoyed we enjoyed having her on, and we've enjoyed the show today.
Yep.
So thank you guys for joining us on next time's podcast. We don't have a guest sorted yet, but we will.
Oh, we will.
Well, we will.
It's my job. I'll figure it out. It's all good.
Yeah, it's Adam's job, so maybe it won't get done. No, I'm joking. I love giving you a hard time. Anyway, we will catch you next time on Two Cripples, One Pair of Legs. You can find us on Facebook at the Two Cripples, One Pair of Legs podcast. You can find us on Instagram on twocrips.one pair of legs, and you can catch us here on YouTube. So don't forget to subscribe.
Excellent.
Catch you next
Thanks,
time.
Podfire.
See
Peace.
ya. Well, that's a wrap for this week's episode of Two Cripples, One Pair of Legs. As always, we'd like to thank our studio guests for joining us, and of course to the legends at Podfire for making all of this come to life. If you like what you've heard, or even if we've offended the shit out of you, but you still want to hear more, make sure you hit the subscribe button and also check out our Insta page, twocrips.one pair of legs, and you'll be the first to know when a new episode drops.